James, here we are, just after a 4-0 battering. I mean, let's call it what it is, a battering. Manchester City at the Etihad against Real Madrid in the Champions League semi-final. Recent history would tell us that this is not the kind of thing that's going to happen and that Real Madrid would find a way to make it work. James, this wasn't really even close at any point. I certainly didn't feel any sort of threat from Real Madrid that they were ever going to come back and do this. First of all, I just want your general view over the game, but also how were Man City and Pep Guardiola able to nullify this great Real Madrid team and Carlo Ancelotti?
Because, Jack, they're possibly the best. No. They're the best team in the world right now. The way they're playing, the form that they're playing. And you look at the team that, Jack, they beat to get to the final. Bayern Munich and Real Madrid, two teams that Jack always picks every single year. Nullified. They've been able to nullify them and at home battered both of them, if we're being truthfully honest, especially on the scoreline. Jack, listen, I feel it was just a bit of everything. The players looked up for it. The players played up to their part. The manager played up to his part. Technically, he got everything on point. Jack, secondly, Jack, the fans. I remember a few years Guardiola was talking to the fans that we need you today for a Champions League semi-final. He said that against Spurs. And Jack, today, you've seen them before the game, they're putting out the flares and everything like that. The whole of Manchester, the blue side of Manchester, they looked up for it. They looked that they were ready for it. And also, the scars of last year, what happened last year, still haunts them today. And they did not want to let that be a repeat of it. And secondly, it was at home, and we know how great this Manchester City's record is at home, Jack. The thing, like, Jack, the team that they've beaten, the distance that they've been able to cover against every single team that they've been against, it's been incredible. And when I knew that, okay, Real Madrid don't have a chance today, was when a ball was played in behind over Vinicius' side, and Vinicius gets that running, and he's going through on goal, and Kyle Walker catches up on him.
Mowed him down.
He takes the ball. Jack, when we took the ball off him, it was almost like, damn, they've snatched the heart out of Real Madrid, because that's what Real Madrid does. Right. You remember the game against Anfield, Jack? It was very similar to that. Liverpool were on top, 2-0. Could it be 3 or 4? Real Madrid get their moment, and usually it's going to come from a player like Vinicius. The Real Madrid's outball is always going to be Vinicius. He was nullified today. He was a null and void. I don't think he created a chance or even could complete a dribble to a certain point. When he was taken out the game, Real Madrid's soul was taken out the game, and ultimately we've seen Real Madrid kind of turn old in a way. I kept on saying there's no way that they could have a midfield of Modric and Toni Kroos in 2023. Some weird reason they still have it there.
Can we talk about that? So, Antonio Rudiger's on the bench, who had a pretty impressive performance against Haaland from before, right? David Alaba's playing at left centre back, right? Who could easily move over to left back or play central midfield maybe. You got Eduardo Camavinga, who everybody is praising now as arguably the best young player in the world, apart from maybe somebody like an Erling Haaland or an Mbappe, right? He's probably that third guy, right? You've got Tchouaméni who's still on the bench. I mean, why did Carlo Ancelotti, in your opinion, go for Kroos, Modric and Valverde when that wasn't his only option?
Well, I think it's just because it's worked for him. Carlo showed to be a loyal guy. When he likes you, he really does like you, and like he really does believe in you. And also, Jack, the biggest thing, they won with them.
Yeah.
Jack, I think one of the things for Real Madrid is that they've dug so many holes, and they've gotten out of these holes on so many occasions. It was almost believed that, okay, 10 minutes gone, we're getting dominated, cool. 20 minutes gone, we're getting dominated, we'll show something. 30 minutes gone, 2-0 down. 40 minutes gone, 2-0 down. Guys, what are we going to do right now? The point of view of they've been always found a way to get out of this trouble. At some point, when you keep on digging this hole for yourself, Jack, you won't be able to get out. And Manchester City did not let them get out. They've seen Real Madrid's remarkable recovery powers of yesteryears. They nullified that. Vinicius was the key. Vinicius was the reason behind that. When he was taken out the game, Real Madrid was taken out the game, and in player for player, man for man, Manchester City were just 10 times better than them. Yes, it came off a little bit of arrogance from Real Madrid, especially from some players like Vinicius, Benzema's kind of null and void. But Jack, we can talk about how bad Real Madrid were, and Jack, I get it. You have to give praise to Manchester City and what they're able to do. That's to me the main focus of today.
And let's start down that path. First of all, Bernardo Silva. What did he do, James, in this leg that he couldn't do in the last one?
Popped up in different positions. Jack was in the right position to score the goal. I felt like his battle with Camavinga last time he struggled. You know, it was hard, and that was a big thing for Camavinga. But like today, he's kind of been able to play off the ball instead of taking him on every single time. And he's popping up in little different half spaces where Kevin De Bruyne was able to pick him out. And when Jack opens up his body, fakes to go one way, goes the opposite way, sends Thibaut Courtois the wrong way, and they just kind of roll from there. He is a guy that on big Champions League games, he's always going to play. No matter where, Guardiola has to find a spot for him. And it's not just what he does, Jack, with the ball. It's what he does without the ball. Guardiola says that Bernardo Silva is very unique because he is the only player is able to press two players at a time. And I don't know what he's saying, but in terms of you winning the ball back, Jack, when I look at Bernardo Silva, how many times do you see him being being the guy covering 10 yards of space in almost like 4 or 5 steps?
Right.
You know, think about it. He is a guy almost pressing, leading to think about it like leading the way, pinching the ball from players, and like think about it, getting Manchester City forward. It isn't something that you point at with Bernardo Silva, but he does it so well. You know, so it's to me, it's just what he's able to do overall is a big thing. Moving on to the other side, Jack Grealish. Now, when I watch Jack Grealish, it's never something that I think, wow, oh my days, he's lighting him up, he's going past him. But he does what he does to help Manchester City be effective. You know, every time he gets the ball, he slows the tempo of the game down, brings 2 to 3 Real Madrid players into him, pops it off into a bit of space. Rather, that's Kevin De Bruyne, Rodri, and Manchester City have an overload on one side or more men in the box. Every single time he was able to tease and taunt Carvajal. Carvajal got frustrated, got yellow carded. Listen, I might not be the biggest fan of Jack Grealish to a certain point, but Jack, what he's doing at this moment in time, it's very effective for this team. And secondly, it's credit to Pep Guardiola, because he isn't asking Grealish to do something crazy. He's just saying, be you, but just be more effective for us. And that's what he's doing.
Well, again, he gets made fun of for those sidewards runs that don't really get him anywhere. But if he can couple that with a kind of an inside little ball, right, to a Gundogan who's operating in a half space, or to a De Bruyne, or to a Haaland who's through the middle, immediately this kind of little sidewards run, which for Villa might have gotten him absolutely nowhere or drawn a foul, now it's like, well, actually you're opening up some passing lanes and some dynamic movement. We saw a lot of pass, get the ball back, pass, third runner going around the side stuff from that was all being started by Jack Grealish. And again, I don't think that's coming from Jack. Like you mentioned it, I think that's coming from Pep. So again, it's all credit to his patience. And James, again, is Jack Grealish one of the great wingers in world football? Absolutely not, right? Talented kid, right? Has some upside for sure. But again, being asked to do something a little bit different by Pep, and he's being executed and doing it accordingly. I wanted to get your thoughts on John Stones. I kind of caught it at the very, very beginning. No pressure, which again, to me, you'd have thought, especially in the role that he was playing, you'd have thought he might have faced a little bit more pressure. Can you give us any sort of breakdown or reasoning as to why John Stones was allowed to be so free?
Jack, to me, I feel like the biggest thing is that we mentioned Real Madrid's front three, and we mentioned how dynamic they are. Two things is, if they have the ball, you have to keep hold of it, and also you have to be effective with that. When they got the ball, Jack, they weren't effective with that. And after a while, you're realizing if they get the ball and they're giving it away to us very, very easily, Jack, what am I gonna do? Oh, I'm going in confidence. 2-3 times he's given the ball away. What am I going to do? I'm going to do what I usually do. I'm going to step into midfield. And Jack, I mentioned the fact that Real Madrid are not going to get think about it, John Stones to step into midfield. But today, once they got the freedom of the of the cap of the pitch, and the gap between midfield and attack was so big, Jack, what's John Stones going to do after a while? Of course, Jack, he's going to step into there.
Right.
Because the one thing I know from Real Madrid front three is that on the ball they weren't effective, but Jack, off the ball there wasn't a press, there wasn't no resistance. So ultimately, if you're a player like John Stones and like Jack, you have it in there. You're seeing, okay, no press. I'm going to take the ball. I'm going to constantly take the ball forward, realizing, oh, no one's going to press me. I'm going to drive the ball into midfield, and then like I'm looking at a 4v3 with my three midfielders, and Real Madrid's three midfielders, and also me with the ball. So he was just able to get overload and upon overload in midfield. And Real Madrid, it's just, I hate this word. It felt at times it was just a lack of effort, and it was just like, we're Real Madrid. Real Madrid is going to Real Madrid happen. That's what it felt like for this team, and Man City did not let Real Madrid off the hook at all.
Did we see a little bit of a little bit of crack in the armor, a little chink in the armor tonight? Did we see a couple of guys who need to be moved on? I know, the era of Eduardo Camavinga, Tchouaméni and Bellingham is supposedly going to start. Are they going to go for Mbappe or Haaland at some point to replace Benzema? Did we see a little bit of a coming to an end of this secondary generation of this Real Madrid team?
Jack, I seen that end 2 seasons ago.
Right.
Jack, the only difference is that Real Madrid have these Galactico Madrid white Blanco power to find a way, these Power Rangers power.
There's some secret sauce down in Madrid.
Because, Jack, let's be truthfully honest. Yeah, we all watch football. Yes, they did what they did last year, but we all watch football. The game against PSG, Jack, especially that first leg was very, very similar to what happened today against Manchester City. The only difference that PSG didn't hit them with the four goals Man City hit them with. The exact same thing in the first half at the Bernabeu. But you know what Real Madrid have? They have these crazy psychological powers that they work. Exact same thing with Liverpool. Exact same thing last season against Manchester City, where City are dominating. Jack, they're creating chances. Phil Foden is missing. Jesus is missing. Mahrez is missing. The only difference is, Jack, Man City didn't miss today. They did not. They refused to let them off the hook. Players took their chances. You mentioned cracks. Cracks were there a long time ago. Yeah. I said a few years ago, there's no way Real Madrid should have a midfield of Modric and Kroos, as great as they are.
Their time's come, right? I want to shine a little light. It wasn't all doom and gloom. This game could have very easily been 7-8, 9-0 if it weren't for the man between the sticks. How impressed were you with Thibaut Courtois?
Some of them saves, especially from Erling Haaland, Jack, just shows you why he's the best goalkeeper in the world, Jack. He kept them in a final last year with 9 saves, and Jack, what he was able to do today. Some of them, it's not just saves, Jack. These are point-blank range saves. Erling Haaland is 6 yards out. And the one where he's 6 yards out and he's moving one way, adjusts his body and gets his his right hand up and like tips around the post is crazy. The second one, the third one from Haaland, where he opens up his body, slots it underneath him, he gets his foot down and the ball bubble up. Yes, a bit of fortune there, but he was the only Real Madrid player that showed up, Jack. Yeah. And Jack, if your goalkeeper 9 times out of 10 is your best player, it's not a great sign.
Not a good day at the office, that's right.
Not a thing about it. It is not a great sign, but big up to him. Didn't deserve to be on the losing team, but when your team was that bad, what can you do?
We're going to do a full breakdown of the final. Of course we are, but how much of a chance do Inter Milan have? Or, James, is this one actually over before it's even started?
It's a final. Man City have never played Inter Milan before. Inter Milan are going to go with confidence. Let's see what's going to happen. I think they're in the Coppa. Are they in the Super Coppa final?
Believe so, yeah.
Yeah, Jack. They're in the Italian Cup. Let's see what happens with the Cup final with Manchester City. How much confidence do they go in there, being the fact that they might have a double underneath their hands already leading up to the final. But I don't think Inter Milan can go there and fear Manchester City. Are Manchester City going to be favourites? Are we going to both pick Manchester City? Yeah. Hate to break the news. That's always Jack. That's always what's going to happen. But I feel the way Inter Milan has played this year, Jack, they've kept 9 clean sheets. I think they've equaled the record. They do know how to stop teams. I get it. City are irresistible, and the way they're playing, they've also have had a lot of clean sheets too. It's going to be in interesting final. It's not a foregone conclusion yet.
No.
That's all I'm saying.
No, 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 I think you're right. And again, my boyfriend, my pal, right? Edin Dzeko can have a half opportunity where you think there's no way anybody's scoring from there with his weak foot, and he can score, and you can go, Jesus, we got ourselves a game now. Lautaro Martinez playing out of his skin. We've mentioned the strength and depth on the bench in key positions with the likes of Romelu Lukaku, how capable the likes of Barella is, and again, James as well. It's a different style of football that Pep will be playing. It is that Italian style of football. It is that hybrid back three, back five kind of combo that we've got going on here as well. And again, it will be interesting. It is a final. I think City go in as heavy favourites, but a final's a final's a final. And, Inter Milan, they do have that European pedigree, which Man City maybe don't have, but maybe they will get it. Guys at home, what did you think of this Champions League semi-final game? Like I said, I think in my view, this was the final and we got to see it twice. So how lucky were we? What did you think? Drop a like on the video if you like what you've seen. Hit subscribe if you're not already. James and I would really appreciate it. James, anything else from you, mate?
Guys, Jack said it. Like, share, and subscribe. Let us know what you feel about this game. Real Madrid fans, I want to hear from you definitely about your team's performance. Manchester City fans, can you go all the way? Can you do the treble? Comment down below. Let us know. This is Box to Box Football. And me and Jack will see you next time.